Are you looking for an organ whose legs make up half the cost of the instrument? Then let me introduce you to the Vox Jaguar. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I have finally finished my restoration of my 1965 Vox Jaguar. I'm going to show you a little bit of what the problems were, which there were a lot, how it plays, and what I think of it in terms of my first and only combo organ experience. First, let's start off with how I got it. I found this guy on Reverb in a local listing. He was being sold by a local music shop, and it was about $660, including tax. There were 3 keys that weren't working, 2 of which were in the same note divider, which meant it was the card issue, and 1 was just a miscellaneous key that needed some contact cleaning. In terms of cosmetically, it was a little flawed because the last guy must have painted on it or done something like that, where there are giant paint splotches all over the top case, which I'll show you in a second, and you can kind of see that along the right side. We tried to get most of it off with some acetone and other nail polish remover, and it did a pretty good job, though it kind of scarred the Tolex gray a little bit. Over here though, the knobs, these 2 are not original. They were not this chrome. They were actually kind of green and a little rusty, so I swapped them out. They were $30 each, but they're handmade or hand CNC'd, so it was they're pretty much the exact same knobs, though the plate here, which shows the controls on the voices, is long gone. I don't know where that went. Couldn't find it on the inside, and you can't even find a replacement, which sucks. But my voice knobs are a little worn, the black on them. But other than that, the knobs, it did not come with the legs. I actually had to buy the legs separately, which we'll get into. The plate was still there. The Jaguar plate on the back was there. Other than that, everything else was still intact, which was good compared to the inside. This right here is our top lid. As you can see, something happened here and up, but the rest of it is actually pretty cosmetically okay. This went through a heavy amount of acetone and nail polish remover, and it still looks pretty wonky. As you can see, it really washed out, and I even did some STP like vinyl polish. I'll show you that bottle in a second of how I clean this, and I tried to get it as best as I can, but in the light it's a little more noticeable compared to what I didn't clean. I mean, I did clean all of it, but a lot more here with the brush. The hardware is all original. I just put that in some rust remover. And then on the back, I had a problem with the handle. The handle was stripped. There is a nut on the inside of the wood here and inside the Tolex that you screw the screw into that holds the handle in. Well, for some reason that nut got loose on the inside and it would not come out, so I just had to rip it out, and I replaced them with these ungodly long bolts, which I overcompensated to hell with, and I will probably swap them out for a little smaller ones, but these guys are fine, though these long ones, they do hit the key, so I'll have to swap those guys out. But with the washers, made sure that they're nice and giant, so that even though this keyboard is only 40 pounds, I don't want that 40 pounds to come crumbling down. So that is how I fixed my handle. The handle still works though, everything's good. The internal Tolex is a little peely, but with just a little bit of contact cement. That's how I got all of the peeling Tolex back to where it belongs. And I did not replace any Tolex that was not there, nor did I do any re-Tolexing. That is out of my bounds for this project. When it comes to Tolex cleaning, I love the Meguiar's convertible top cleaner. I've used it on Fender Rhodes, and this now, and it works great. It's a mechanic for auto cleaner. It's only about $10, and you will, especially for this, if you have some paint or anything, you will use the whole bottle. And then this is a new product I've used called Son of a Gun by STP, and it's supposed to give more of a shiny finish to vinyl, plastic, and rubber. And it does, though it makes it a little slippery. It's a little weird feeling. Maybe I'm a little weird, but it definitely does shine it up though, which is nice, especially if you're using a brush to get rid of some really fine stuff and end up wearing away some of the Tolex, like over here. That is how I cleaned my Tolex. I did a little scraping on the really heavy paint stuff, but other than that, these two will get you there just fine. Now, it's pretty easy to get into the Jaguar and Continentals. You just lift up this lid here. It comes right off. On the bottom, you will see the model number and sticker. This one was made in Italy. And you could see, hopefully, the difference between the colors and the sun fading or the UV fading over time. It was quite, looking at that, it was quite faded, but if you didn't see that line, you maybe would have noticed, maybe not. There are definitely some marks, and I did take off this Jaguar plate along with the plate on the back. What I did with those is I used a little bit of steel wool and a little bit of Flitz metal polish. Actually, scratch that. I didn't use steel wool, just the metal polish. That polished these metal pieces up really nicely. And these are actually the front Jaguar plate. It's just mounted by some tacks. And then the back one is glued on. Just use some contact cement. Though be careful because they bend super easily, and that bend you're not really going to get out unless you flatten it real hard. But also, please be careful with the back one. Not sure about the front one, but they're super easy to scratch, and that black will come right off. My dad kind of scratched on an accident with a plastic toothbrush, so be warned. So here's the overview of the internals and the keyboard itself. These are each of your note divider cards, starting from C sharp all the way down to C, and then over here is your bass divider card along with your vibrato section. Over here's your power supply, and then there's supposed to be a strip indicating the notes here, but it has been removed for some reason. And these little towers you see are how you adjust the fine pitch of each key. You cannot interswap these keys or these cards because you can only move the pitch, I would say maybe 25 cents off from where the note is. The last person who worked on this keyboard did some real rigging when it came to this G key. Originally it was a G sharp key, and it's my G key now. It didn't work before. I sent it out to a friendly man in Seattle who I met on the Vox Continental Facebook group page, and he was able to replace a transistor or two and then get this back in working condition, and now it works fine. So the previous owner, did a lot of the heavy lifting when it came to capacitor replacements, as there are a lot of changes, especially mainly on this board that he kind of jury-rigged. But other than that board right here, everything worked pretty all right, except for my C key, which was actually a tooth connection issue, which I'll show you in a second. You can't see that because of the keyboard. And that was pretty easy with a little pencil eraser fix. You can actually, what's really cool though, is you can lift up the keypad. Look at that. That's probably the easiest. I don't know if all combo organs do this, but working on pianos and things for my job, it would be a lot easier if they could do this too. Here are all your contacts and your bus bar. Basically, when you press a key down, this little metal pin will touch this black bar and making the circuit, and then it will translate the note to the speaker. Now, this is your bass section, which is controlled by a separate bus bar, though it can also play the chord notes, which I'll get into more in a second. This luckily didn't need much work at all in terms of me, just a little bit of contact cleaning on the base end when it came to those little metal wires. They were a little clicky and made some odd noises, but were able to be fixed quite easily. Coming over here, we have our main control center. Right here's our base volume and volume knob. So it's a little clicker and it turns on that LED. And this is the base volume. So this is how you control the base end. There actually is no main volume, just the base volume. So this section is always at a constant volume, though technically this contour knob is a little bit like a volume as it just rounds off the high end. It does all right, but it's honestly just kind of like putting a soggy blanket over your tone. So this is your main, just like a normal organ / combo organ. You have your, let's see, what is it, 16/8/4 or 4/8/16 bars. So your flute is your standard 4/16? No, 4, right? Then you would turn on the bright if you wanted your 8, and then your 16 would be your brass. There also is a mellow, though I'm not sure if my mellow works. I heard it's pretty faint, and it just kind of does a little more contour, but sounds a little better. Yet I don't know if it actually is working or it's just that faint where I can't tell. So it's probably not working, but I am in no need for mellow, so I am all good for that. Right here is your bass chords on and off. Basically, your bass right now with the chords off, it's just going to be a really low, pretty quiet bass signal, which is really nice because this is actually an octave below the C here. If you have the bass chords off. If you have the bass chords on, it will incorporate that low octave bass note, but it will also layer over the standard octave this should be over that note. So you can still play fluidly down here without it cutting out that chord and going to a single note. The vibrato is pretty cool. It's vibrato-y, and there is no vibrato control, no way for you to change how fast the vibrato moves or the depth of it. So now we are looking at the underside of the tone controls, and I pray you do not have any issues with this section of board here. You will have to remove it if you want to get to the pots, though you could probably just contact clean from the side because the pot holes are on the top and you can just spray right down in there. I think that's what I did. But these pins right here are what activate or deactivate one of your tones. So it just touches either the top or the bottom pin, these two little wires connected to the rocker switches, and then you can turn on and off that. In order to get this PCB off and back on, you actually have to line up every single one of these, what's that, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 in the holes at one time, and it's a little bit of a pain if you don't have 4 hands. Unfortunately, I had to do that because my flute control was not staying off. It would be constantly on because of the spring pressure in there. So what you have to do is there's a little copper plate that's held up against the rocker switches here, and you have to just bend it and hope that you bend it the right way. And it took a little bit of finagling, but I did actually get it to feel just like the rest of the rocker switches, which is always great. Looking at the back of the keyboard now, you can start to see those little metal pins I was telling you about. Right there. Those are actually little clips that hook into the PCB note generator, and you can easily slide that out just by moving that little screw at the bottom. You can kind of see it right there. Removing that screw will then let you wiggle that out, and on the back of this PCB there is going to be little contacts, and you want to take a standard pencil or mechanical pencil, you want to take a rubber eraser, and you want to rub out those copper contacts. They might be corroded, they might be oxidized, but getting that out will usually, hopefully, fix your problem with the key generator, unless there's something to do with the transistors, which when those fail are usually these little metal domed guys. There aren't many capacitors except for the ones on the vibrato card over there and the main control switch on the front end. Again, on the back here, we also have our 4 inputs, or I guess 3. To the left is your power cable. This one that came with mine is actually just a cut up 2-prong AC cord, question mark. And they just chopped that up because the original Vox cables are a little wide when it comes to their pins. So chopping that in half will just give you a nice little space that you can make yourself. But on the top there, that is your base out. So if you have the pedals, or actually, maybe that's to a separate bass amp? Maybe. Actually, yeah, oops. And then the bottom is the signal out, which I'm using. And then to the right, it is a fuse, and I believe it's a 1 amp slow blow. Now, what makes the Vox Continental and Jaguar so iconic is definitely the chrome Z-legs that it comes with. Unfortunately, though, a lot of the Continental and Jaguars that you see are not going to be coming with the Z-legs. For some reason, I don't know who stole them, where they put them. I don't know who the hell can lose chrome Z-legs, but they did, and so did this owner. I bought mine without them, and currently, as of 2023 April, there are only one. There's only one seller on Reverb that you can buy them from, and they're listed for $800. So I did not buy them. I actually bought these off a local seller who was selling them with his Jaguar, and I bought them for $350, which I still think is a little high, but definitely kind of market price for the legs. Usually they go for $300, $250 if you're lucky, and obviously you have to include shipping. There is, if you get lucky, there is a case that the Z-legs can come with, a hard case just like the top there, but mine did not come with that. The Vox also came with a volume pedal, a Vox branded volume pedal, just like a wah, along with a cable and those legs, which was included in the leg box. But I unfortunately did not get that box, though I am very fortunate to have the legs along with the crossbars, which are especially important. For the Rhodes, I had a Rhodes 88. If you didn't have the support bars on there, I mean, it was very concerning, but it wasn't, you weren't going to fall over. At least mine was on carpet, so that's different. But if you do not have the crossbars for your Vox Jaguar, do not even put the legs on. It will sway and move. Right now, no, it's not moving. But without them on, it's very concerning to play, considering, you put a little bit of pressure on the keys. So fortunately enough for you, the crossbars can be manufactured and are manufactured fairly cheaply through other sites. I believe there is a Vox supplier that do all the Vox organs, amps, and other things, and they do sell a set of crossbars for $80. So I don't know what's so easy about crossbars, but they make them. So do make sure you also buy or have included the wing nuts that come with the Z-legs. These wing nuts screw into the sides and back so that you can hook the crossbars on and hook the Z-legs on so that they stay stable. Because there is two, for the Z-legs, there are two little L-shaped brackets that cup the bottom so that all the pressure isn't on the wing nuts, but you do need the wing nuts or else they will slide around. Other than that, and there also are wing nuts under on the bottom of the Z-legs. I cleaned up my Z-legs by using steel wool and then aluminum mag polish. I've used that on motorcycle exhausts, and I thought it'd probably work fine for this chrome, and it did. It was a little rough. There's definitely some pitting on the bottom sides, especially that one, but it, as you can see, it looks really nice. Honestly, it didn't really need the mag polish. The steel wool did a good number on it, but you might as well coat it a little bit. So other than that, that is your chrome. Everything else is clean. If someone could find me a source for this bar here, I'd love to know, because I cannot find it anywhere. But overall, in order to restore this, send out the chip, buy some germanium transistors, which they are germanium, by the way, so you'll have to buy those from the UK, or I got mine from the UK. It cost me, I would say, $400, $450 to restore this. So that's $350 for the legs, and then just those cleaners. The knobs were also the most too, at 70 or 60, yeah, I've just been, this is a really great project. It was a lot easier than my other mechanical or electric keyboards, a lot lighter too, and I'm excited. It kind of got me into combo organs, so if you see any more combo organs on my channel, you'll know why. But I am currently selling this on Reverb if you want to go check it out. But yes, so that's all done. And I just want to say thanks for watching if you made it this far. And if you want to see more repairing videos or videos about vintage keys and other electronics, you can follow me here. Take care.